Hi everyone, my name is Adefunke Adeoye. I'm on the Wholesome Parents group to talk about raising boys and the kind of relationship I've had with boys, or shall I say men or young men. I have a son myself and I have 6 brothers in total. I'm one of the 2 girls between the 6 brothers. I have 3 brothers in front of me and 3 brothers right behind me. My experience on how boys have been raised, or my experience on how children are being raised, which I've raised a boy myself, and of course I've lived with 6 boy siblings, and apart from living with 6 boy siblings, you can imagine if you have 6 boys in the house, the amount of boys that will be in your house at a given time. My take on how to raise a boy would be non-different from how you raise a girl. I would say particularly even a special attention should be paid to how we raise our boy children, because most of the time and most families actually raise boys as being superior to girls. That is what I've noticed. Of course, because I have 6 brothers, I've noticed it does happen in my family, and I've seen it happen in other families that I'm close to. That most of the time the girls are made to do every chores, the girls are trained to do everything in the house, the girls are trained to be obedient, to be respectful, to do everything diligently and properly. But sometimes, if you notice, the boys actually get away with not doing most of these things. My own experience of raising a son is I've raised my son the same way I've raised my daughter, and amazingly I would say my daughter is more of a man or a boy than my son. She is more of a macho person, but my son is more of a solemn person. But even in his solemnness, I have to be very aware, I have to be very observant, I have to notice, I have to keep tab on him, because most boys really, I think it's a natural inborn thing, feels they're superior to all the other to girls, and they're superior also in doing a lot of things at home. When you ask them to do something, they don't find it really easy to do. But I've trained both my children, the boy and the girl, in every proper way that I would train any child, though sometimes paying special attention to the boy, because I understand a man is the head of the home when they grow up. So I have always taken that into cognizance in training my son. In all fairness, I would say I don't see training a black boy differently from training any other kind of boy. I think in the perspective, we need to get that right straight away, saying every child is a child, every boy is a boy, every man is a man. The point that now determines what they become is the training that we give them. I would say every black boy, because one thing also with black young people and black boys is, as black people, we're more aggressive, we're more action filled. So sometimes when we try to differentiate between a white and a black person, that might get in, or a black and any other color person. And always my advice to younger boys, especially black boys, is that all the gesticulation, all the aggressiveness, all the way that we would normally talk as black people, and it would not mean anything abusive, rude or insultive, cannot be done when you're dealing with other culture. Because our culture, our ways and manners of life are not that kind of it's kind of a bit too loud for some kind of setup. So I would always say black boys especially should be trained in mannerism, in understanding the environment, and actually environmental intelligence is very important for our boys, which sometimes I think we don't do. We just leave our boys, and our boys sometimes believe they can do as they please, they can express themselves. I am not against people expressing themselves, but I'm saying, like, emotional intelligence is very important. So is environmental intelligence very important, because you would notice most of the time black boys are sanctioned into special need, into mental homes, not because they have mental trouble or mental issues, it's because of the aggression, seemingly aggression that when you're in a black environment with a black setup, it might not be seen as an aggression, it might be seen as a way of life. But when it's in another culture, another environment, it can actually be used against a black boy as a way of sanctioning or locking them up where they're not supposed to be. So my own advice to black boys is to study the environment, have the understanding of the environment, and apply environmental intelligence in this case. I don't think boys should be raised differently from girls when it comes to home training, when it comes to mannerism, when it comes to the way of life. I know in certain things, a man might need to mentor a man might need to mentor a boy, and a woman might need to mentor a girl. Take, for example, when it comes to things of puberty, things of the hormonal changes, that might be a different story. But when it comes to home training, respect, actually able to regard and respect environment, respect individual, and behave and comport themselves, I don't think any child should be trained differently, because we are all human beings. We are all created by God. Male or female should not determine that a child should be treated or trained differently. The only thing I will add is men sometimes and boys, what I've noticed in living with boys and living with my own son as well, is they're not very observant sometimes. I don't mean this in a derogatory manner. They think differently. So take, for example, there might be something on the floor. A girl would probably see and pick up. A boy will walk right across it. Why? I've tried to do this. I've tried to understand it. I would ask questions. Did you see what you've just passed through? And they'll say, I didn't see it. So sometimes in those aspects of life, you might need to pay special attention to boys to ensure that they are doing what they're supposed to do and they're able to multitask, which a woman sometimes or generally will do without even thinking. So that's the only way I think we need to pay special attention to our boys. But apart from that, training them in every other aspect of life, I think should be done the same way, being a boy or being a girl, because we're preparing all of them for the future. Do I think a boy should learn how to cook? Definitely yes. A boy should learn how to do everything relating to the home. When I was growing up in secondary school, we have a class called Home Economics, and we have boys in our class. I think my brothers, at least 5 of them, I would say, or 4 of them, can cook better than I can. And they are boys, they grew up in the same house with me. The point is, you need to train a child, either a boy or a girl, to know everything. To have understanding of everything. What about if a man gets married and the wife goes out to work or goes on a trip? Would that man just sit in the house or keep spending to buy takeaways? So my take on this is, every child, be it a man, be it a woman, should know how to cook, should know how to clean, should know how to do everything. I remember even when I was growing up, my father used to cook for us. So in my own opinion, every child, it doesn't matter if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, should know how to do everything relating to domestication. They must be well domesticated in every aspect, because you know, sometimes when you're well domesticated, it brings about regard and respect for the environment. So I think a boy or girl should not make any difference in the training that we'll give our children.